Emma had always taken her role as a stepmother seriously, especially with Ethan, her stepson, ever since she and David married. She had tried to strike a delicate balance, offering support without being intrusive, giving space without feeling distant. Ethan was 17 now, the age when independence clashed with the lingering needs of a teenager still searching for guidance. Emma often wondered whether she was doing enough, whether her presence in his life was positive or just another source of stress. That evening, the house was unusually quiet. David had been caught up in a last-minute business trip, leaving Emma alone with the comforting hum of rain against the windows. The clock ticked closer to 10, and Emma, finishing her routine tidying, glanced toward Ethan's room. She knew he had a school project due the next day, and an instinctive concern nudged her to check if he was actually working. She had expected to find him at his desk, headphones on, perhaps scrolling through social media or half-heartedly typing notes. With a quiet step, she approached his room. As she opened the door, the scene inside froze her. Ethan wasn't sitting as she had imagined. His chair was pushed back slightly, and he was standing, pacing, and speaking with an intensity that immediately drew Emma in. On the laptop screen, a video call was ongoing. She could see another face, older, serious, offering guidance while Ethan's expression shifted, constantly nervous, unsure, but attentive. Emma hesitated, a small part of her mind reminding her to turn back. But curiosity, mingled with concern, held her there. A single word she overheard made her heart tighten, confused. Ethan was wrestling with something far bigger than schoolwork. He wasn't hiding or being lazy. He was grappling with his own fears, his own uncertainties about the future. And seeking advice, she realized the person on the call wasn't just a friend or casual contact. He was a mentor, a teacher, or older student helping him navigate the complexities of high school, college choices, and personal goals. The conversation was deep, filled with pauses, reflections, and confessions. Ethan admitted doubts he rarely shared with anyone. He spoke of wanting independence, but feeling torn by expectations from school, peers, and family. Emma watched quietly, her concern deepening. She had expected to catch a teenager slacking off, but instead she saw vulnerability, self-awareness, and a desire to grow. Emma's mind raced. She could intervene, she thought. She could knock, announce herself, and offer comfort or advice. But something told her to stay silent. To intrude now would not help. It would break the trust Ethan was building with his mentor. She took a step back, leaning against the doorframe, feeling the weight of the responsibility she had chosen by being part of this blended family. After a few moments, the call ended. Ethan slumped back into his chair, exhaustion and relief mingling in his expression. Emma quietly closed the door behind her and retreated to the hallway, letting him have his space. But as she walked away, a strange mixture of emotions coursed through her. Pride, relief, and a subtle sadness. Pride that he was seeking guidance rather than hiding. Relief that he was taking life seriously. And sadness that he still felt so uncertain and alone in facing challenges. Later that night, Emma lay in bed, unable to sleep. The image of Ethan, so serious and vulnerable, replayed in her mind. She realized that her role in his life was more complex than she had imagined. It wasn't about correcting mistakes or enforcing rules. It was about being present, offering a steady and non-judgmental support system. She thought of all the times she had worried about being too strict, too distant, or too intrusive. Now she understood that sometimes stepping back, giving trust, and silently observing could be just as powerful as offering guidance openly. The next morning brought an unusual calm. Ethan emerged from his room earlier than usual, a determined look in his eyes. He greeted Emma with a quiet nod, and for the first time, she noticed a subtle change in his demeanor, a confidence born not of bravado, but of having faced uncertainty and taken steps forward. Emma smiled inwardly. She realized that discovering this moment by accident had given her insight into the person Ethan was becoming. It wasn't about discipline or monitoring every move, but about understanding, patience, and the quiet assurance that someone cared enough to notice and support. That evening, she made herself a cup of tea and sat by the window, watching the rain drizzle down. Her mind wandered to Ethan's conversation from the night before, to the mentor who had helped him navigate his confusion, and to the trust that had begun forming in the silent spaces between words. She knew there would be more challenges ahead, more moments where she would be tested. But this one moment had changed her perspective. Emma understood now that her stepson was not just a teenager to guide or a responsibility to manage. He was a young man discovering himself, struggling with choices, and learning the delicate art of asking for help. And she realized that her role was not to lead blindly, but to accompany him quietly. Offering support without overwhelming, empathy without intrusion, and presence without pressure. As she went to bed that night, Emma felt a sense of calm and resolve. She had stumbled upon a moment of growth, not chaos. She had witnessed vulnerability, not rebellion. And she had understood that sometimes the most profound lessons came in the quietest, unexpected moments. And she knew that by giving Ethan the space to discover himself while being quietly supportive, she was laying the foundation for trust and connection that would strengthen their bond in ways she had never anticipated. In the days following that rainy evening, Emma noticed subtle changes in Ethan. He seemed more focused on his schoolwork, more thoughtful in his interactions, and quieter in a way that suggested he was processing the guidance he had received. Emma realized that her initial instinct to check on him had led to an unexpected insight. She now understood how much he needed emotional support. Even if he didn't openly ask for it, she decided to approach him gently, without making him feel scrutinized or judged. One morning, as Ethan walked into the kitchen with his usual sleepy expression, Emma greeted him warmly. "Good morning, Ethan. Did you sleep well?" she asked, keeping her tone light. He nodded, a small smile flickering across his face, and she felt a surge of relief. It wasn't about monitoring him anymore. It was about being present, offering reassurance without pressure. That evening, Emma offered to help Ethan organize his study space. His desk had always been cluttered with papers, notebooks, and half-finished projects. "I thought we could make this a little easier to work in," she said, moving a stack of books. Ethan hesitated at first, but then he joined her, and they worked side by side in silence, punctuated by small comments and quiet laughter. The room felt lighter, as if their shared effort had created a subtle sense of partnership. Over the next few days, Emma noticed that Ethan began seeking her advice on small things, what topics to focus on for an upcoming project, how to approach a difficult assignment, or even how to handle a disagreement with a classmate. Each interaction was brief, casual, and non-intrusive. Yet Emma realized that he was opening up more than he had before. The trust that had started forming on that rainy night was now growing, brick by brick, through these everyday moments. One afternoon, Ethan appeared frustrated while working on a particularly challenging project. Papers were scattered across his desk, and his pencil moved frantically across a notebook, only to be erased moments later. Emma watched quietly for a moment, giving him space. Then she spoke softly. "It looks tough, but I know you can handle it. Want me to help you break it down?" Ethan looked up, surprise and relief mingling in his eyes. "I guess." "Yeah," he admitted. Together, they worked through the problem step by step. Emma guided him with questions rather than answers, allowing him to think critically while offering gentle support. By the end of the session, Ethan leaned back in his chair, a satisfied smile on his face. "Thanks, Emma. That actually helped a lot," Ted. It was moments like these that made Emma realize the real power of presence. It wasn't about controlling outcomes or constantly instructing him. It was about providing a stable, compassionate presence that made him feel safe enough to explore his own thoughts and make decisions independently. As the week went on, the relationship evolved further. Mornings were filled with casual conversations over breakfast discussions about school, music, or the little quirks of their daily lives. Evenings became a time for reflection when Ethan would share what had happened during his day. Emma listened more than she spoke, letting him articulate his thoughts and feelings without interruption. She noticed that the more she gave him space to express himself, the more he trusted her. One chilly Saturday afternoon, Emma suggested they take a walk in the nearby park. The leaves had turned golden, and the crisp air carried the faint scent of autumn. Ethan hesitated initially, but then agreed, grabbing his jacket. As they walked, neither spoke immediately, letting the rhythm of their footsteps on the fallen leaves fill the silence. Finally, Ethan spoke, his voice soft. "I sometimes feel like I don't know who I'm supposed to be," he admitted, looking at the path ahead. Emma stopped and turned to him gently. "You're not alone in that feeling. Everyone struggles with it at some point. It's part of growing up," she said. Her tone was calm, empathetic, without judgment or criticism. He nodded, absorbing her words. "It's just, I want to make the right choices, but I keep second-guessing myself." Emma reached out and rested a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You'll make mistakes, and that's okay. What matters is learning from them. You're doing fine, Ethan. More than fine, you're learning, growing, and becoming your own person." The walk continued, and they shared small stories about their own teenage experiences. Emma spoke of her challenges in school, the awkward moments, the doubts, and the little victories. Ethan laughed at her anecdotes, realizing that she had faced similar uncertainties and had navigated them successfully. The conversation was light but meaningful, reinforcing a bond that had begun quietly and was now flourishing in a subtle, unspoken way. Back at home, Emma noticed Ethan starting to initiate small acts of connection. He would bring her a cup of tea while she worked in the living room, ask for her opinion on school-related matters, or simply sit near her, sharing silence comfortably. These gestures, though simple, were deeply significant. They reflected a growing trust and appreciation for her presence. One evening, as they worked together on a particularly tricky assignment, Ethan paused and looked at her thoughtfully. "I didn't realize how much it helps just having someone to talk to," he said quietly. "Someone who listens and doesn't judge." Kama smiled, warmth spreading through her chest. "That's what family is for, Ethan. We support each other. You don't have to carry everything alone." The days turned into weeks, and Emma observed Ethan gaining confidence. His posture straightened, his tone became more assured, and he approached his schoolwork with renewed focus. She felt a deep sense of satisfaction, not because she had guided him step by step, but because she had provided the emotional foundation that allowed him to grow independently. Even David noticed the subtle changes. He returned from a business trip one evening to find the house feeling lighter, Ethan more engaged, and Emma radiating a quiet, calm energy. There was no drama, no extraordinary event, just the gentle, transformative effect of trust, patience, and consistent support. Emma reflected on the journey so far. She had started with simple concern, a fleeting curiosity about her stepson's activities. That moment had blossomed into understanding, trust, and emotional closeness. She realized that true connection didn't come from controlling or instructing. It came from listening, observing, and providing a steady presence. In the weeks that followed, Emma and Ethan continued building this bond. Mornings were for laughter and casual conversation, afternoons for homework and reflection, and evenings for quiet companionship. Ethan began to share his dreams, fears, and ambitions more openly, and Emma listened, offering guidance when necessary, but mostly providing reassurance. One evening, as they sat together in the living room, Ethan sighed contentedly. "I don't think I realized how important it is just to have someone there who understands," he said. Emma reached over and touched his hand lightly. "I'm glad, Ethan. You deserve that support. Everyone does." In that simple exchange, Emma understood the essence of her role not as an authority figure, but as a trusted companion. She had learned that emotional connection, empathy, and consistent support could transform relationships quietly but profoundly. The bond she and Ethan were forming was based on respect, understanding, and genuine care, and it was something that would stay with them for years to come. That night, as Emma lay in bed, she reflected on the unexpected journey that had begun with a single glance into Ethan's room. She had expected curiosity or perhaps mischief, but discovered vulnerability, growth, and the beginning of a meaningful connection. The experience reinforced a simple truth. Sometimes, the most profound moments come quietly, In small gestures and subtle acts of understanding, Emma closed her eyes, feeling a quiet sense of fulfillment. She had begun as a concerned stepmother, but now she was a trusted guide, a supportive presence, and a friend. And she knew that this emotional bond, nurtured with patience and empathy, would carry both of them through the challenges and triumphs that lay ahead. The following weeks brought a sense of routine that neither Emma nor Ethan had anticipated. Their relationship, once tentative and formal, had grown into a rhythm of understanding, mutual respect, and quiet companionship. Emma noticed subtle shifts in Ethan's behavior. He laughed more freely, expressed his thoughts without hesitation, and seemed genuinely engaged in their shared moments. The change wasn't dramatic or sudden. It was steady, like a river carving its path over time. One Friday evening, David had a late meeting that kept him at the office. Emma and Ethan were alone in the house. The rain had returned, tapping gently against the windows, creating a cozy atmosphere. Ethan was working on a personal project he had been passionate about for weeks, designing a model for a science competition. Emma, sitting nearby with her laptop, observed him, appreciating the focus and dedication that had become increasingly evident in him. Suddenly, Ethan paused and looked up, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. "Emma," he said, hesitantly, "I've been meaning to ask you something, and I wasn't sure how to bring it up." Emma closed her laptop and gave him her full attention, sensing the seriousness in his tone. "You can ask me anything, Ethan," she replied gently. He hesitated again, glancing at his project and then back at her. I want to take on a bigger responsibility for the science fair. Something more challenging than I've ever done. But I'm afraid I might fail." Emma could see the mixture of excitement and fear in his eyes. She reached out and placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "I believe in you, Ethan. You're capable of more than you realize. You just need someone to encourage you and be there while you figure it out." Ethan's face lit up with a small, relieved smile. Would you help me with it? Guide me through it?" he asked almost in a whisper. Emma nodded, her heart swelling with warmth. "Of course, Ethan, we'll figure it out together." That simple agreement marked a turning point, the moment when their relationship shifted from one of cautious observation to genuine partnership. Over the next few days, they immersed themselves in the project. Emma suggested ideas, offered feedback, and encouraged Ethan to experiment with new techniques. He, in turn, shared his thoughts openly, no longer afraid of judgment or failure. Their conversations were filled with laughter, problem-solving, and moments of quiet reflection. It was clear that their bond had deepened into something meaningful, connection rooted in trust, mutual respect, and shared purpose. One evening, as they worked late, Ethan paused and looked at her thoughtfully. I don't think I've ever had someone believe in me like this before," he said. Emma smiled, touched by the sincerity in his voice. "Everyone needs someone who believes in them. Ethan, sometimes it just takes finding the right person to show you that you can do more than you ever thought possible." The nights grew longer as they spent time refining the project. They shared small victories and minor setbacks, celebrating progress and learning from mistakes. Through it all, Emma noticed a quiet confidence emerging in Ethan, a self-assuredness that hadn't been there before. He carried himself differently, spoke with clarity, and approached challenges with determination rather than hesitation. One rainy evening, while they were reviewing the final details of the project, Ethan suddenly spoke, his voice soft but steady. "Emma, I never thought someone could understand me the way you do. Not just as my stepmom, but as someone who really listens and cares." Emma felt a lump in her throat. She had always cared deeply for Ethan, but hearing him express it so openly moved her in ways she hadn't anticipated. "Ethan, that means a lot to me," she replied gently. As the weeks passed, the science fair approached. Emma and Ethan spent long evenings preparing, reviewing every aspect meticulously. The project was challenging, pushing Ethan beyond his comfort zone. But with Emma's guidance, he navigated each obstacle with determination and resilience. Their partnership had become seamless. It was no longer just about guidance, it was a true collaboration. each contributing ideas, feedback, and encouragement. Finally, the day of the science fair arrived. Ethan presented his project confidently, answering questions from judges and peers with clarity and poise. Emma watched from the audience, her heart swelling with pride. The months of quiet support, late-night problem-solving, and patient guidance had culminated in this moment. Ethan had grown not just academically, but emotionally more confident, resilient, and self-assured than she had ever seen him. After the fair, they walked home together in the cool evening air. Ethan was still buzzing with excitement, recounting moments from the day, discussing feedback and imagining future projects. Emma listened, smiling, feeling a profound sense of fulfillment. She realized that the bond they had cultivated was not just about guiding him through challenges, it was about witnessing growth, celebrating achievements, and being a steadfast presence through life's uncertainties. That night, as they settled into the living room with warm drinks, Ethan turned to her. "Emma, I want you to know something," he said, his voice earnest. "I've never felt this supported or understood before. You've helped me believe in myself." Emma reached out and held his hand briefly, warmth and gratitude passing silently between them. "I'm glad, Ethan. That's all I ever wanted, to help you find your confidence and feel that you can trust yourself." Over time, their relationship evolved into one of genuine friendship and emotional intimacy. They shared not only academic challenges, but also dreams, fears, and personal reflections. Emma learned about Ethan's aspirations beyond school, his hopes for the future, and the quiet anxieties he carried. She responded with encouragement, empathy, and patience, fostering a safe space where he could express himself freely. One evening, as they sat together reflecting on the past months, Ethan admitted something that surprised even him. "I never realized how much a person's support can change you," he said softly. "I thought I had to handle everything on my own, but having you here, it's made a difference." Emma smiled, touched by his honesty. "Sometimes it's not about handling everything alone," she said. "It's about having someone by your side who believes in you, even when you doubt yourself." Their shared experiences strengthened their bond, building a foundation of trust, mutual respect, and emotional security. Emma realized that the journey they had embarked on together had transformed both of them. Ethan had grown into a more confident, thoughtful, and resilient young man, while Emma had discovered the profound impact of patience, understanding, and unwavering support. As the weeks turned into months, life returned to a comfortable rhythm. Schoolwork, projects, and daily routines occupied their days, but the emotional connection they had cultivated remained a constant. Emma found joy in witnessing Ethan's growth, while Ethan cherished the guidance, understanding, and encouragement that Emma provided. Their relationship had become a source of strength, inspiration, and emotional fulfillment for both of them. One evening, as the rain fell gently outside, Emma reflected on the journey that had begun with a single unexpected glance into Ethan's room. What had started as a fleeting moment of curiosity had blossomed into a profound, meaningful connection. They had navigated uncertainty, built trust, and discovered the transformative power of patience, empathy, and unwavering support. Emma realized that family was not just about blood or formal roles. It was about presence, understanding, and the quiet but profound act of being there for one another. The bond she shared with Ethan was a testament to the importance of emotional connection, trust, and genuine care. It was a relationship built not on control or authority, but on respect, compassion, and shared experiences. As she prepared for bed that night, Emma felt a deep sense of fulfillment and hope. The journey with Ethan had taught her valuable lessons about empathy, patience, and the power of presence. She understood that relationships were not defined by perfection or grand gestures, but by consistent, thoughtful, and heartfelt support. Emma closed her eyes, grateful for the unexpected journey that had brought them closer. She knew that challenges would continue to arise, as they always do, but she also knew that the trust, understanding, and emotional connection they had cultivated would guide them through anything. In that quiet, reflective moment, she felt a profound sense of peace, knowing that the bond she and Ethan shared was strong, enduring, and built on the foundations of love, trust, and mutual respect. The story of that rainy evening, the silent observation, and the gradual building of trust had become more than a memory, it had become the defining thread of their relationship. Emma understood that sometimes the most meaningful moments come unexpectedly, quietly shaping lives and relationships in ways that leave lasting impressions. And as she drifted into sleep, she carried with her the knowledge that true connection, built on patience, empathy, and unwavering support, was a gift, one that she and Ethan would carry forward together for years to come.